Watching All We Imagine as Light feels like stepping into a dream, poetic, raw, and so deeply human. The story is taken to be personal, yet the themes are universal to look at. These themes of memories, connections, and transformation are shown in such an understated way that it actually sneaks up on you. It's not just about what happens there, but also about the spaces in between the happenings, the feelings that linger, and the light or the lack of it in their lives. The visuals remind me of Impressionism art, like a Claude Monet painting brought to life. They're soft and natural, with glowing highlights, muted colors, and lots of play of light and shadow. There are no bright, saturated, very warm colors or polished high definition shots. The camera often feels a little shaky or really close to the actors, almost uncomfortably so, but that makes you feel like you're right there with them. What struck me most was how the mood changes with the setting. Like the first half of the film is drenched in darkness, literally and figuratively. It's always night, there's rains or storms, which mirrors how the characters feel stuck in their lives. But then they go to Konkan, and you see there's sunlight and open skies for the first time. That shift in light and setting really drives home how much Prabha and Anu's perspectives and their lives at that point are changing. It's here that they both go through significant events that help them be sure of themselves in their love or in their independence. Isolation and intimacy were shown in relation to each other, making them more apparent to viewers. The sound design is just as subtle and effective as the visuals. The music is simple but always there, filling in the quiet moments and even playing through the dialogue sometimes. And then there are these surreal, almost magical moments that completely caught me off guard, like when a stranger at the beach suddenly becomes Ruba's husband and helps her have a difficult conversation and lift dead weights from her life. That incident is not really explained, and maybe it doesn't need to be. It just works. The title, All We Imagine is Light, carries so much weight. Throughout the film, there's literally no electricity or no light in the characters' homes, which feels symbolic of the darkness in their lives. I think the explanatory line for the title comes from Prabha's husband, who says that while working in a factory's darkness, he tried to imagine the light outside, but couldn't. That line stayed with me. It says so much about how hard it is to visualize hope when you're stuck in darkness. And then there's the ending. The final shot lingers, holding you in this reflective space, much like the film itself. It encapsulates the parallel stories of the film, combining and sharing a moment of peace. I love that that scene persists for as long as it does. It's not about giving answers, but about leaving you with feelings to sit with. It's about finding clarity and hope in life's shadows, and it stayed with me for long after the credits rolled.
Hi, I'm Akshaya, a design student at Srishti Manipal Institute of Art, Design and Technology. Recently, in one of my studios, we watched the movie All We Imagine as Light. The movie opened my eyes to a completely different world. The beginning of the movie showed me the real Mumbai. The initial slow shots where Prabha overlooked the people of the train showed me the different types of struggles people go through. I could see a strong contrast between Prabha and Anu, where one finds love and the other fails to retain it. The Vogue effect of light in most shots helped in highlighting the main subject. I feel that the title could be so due to everyone's longing for love, just like how we always looked at the light at the end of the tunnel. Prabha, to me, was quite the motherly figure and was too scared to let go and move on. The calm and moody vibe was really well supported with the harmonious music. Parvati seemed to me as the mediator, someone who both Anu and Prabha looked up to. She was someone who I feel experienced both sides of love, the new, fresh love and also the longing for love. Prabha, taking care of the man and assuming he was her husband, showed us that she was finally willing to let go. In the last shot, when all three of them sat down while the young girl started dancing in the background, showed me that all of them were finally accepting the truth and moving on. Finally, as I walked out of the theatre, I really felt my privilege, making me feel like a grain of sand on a beach.
All We Imagine as Light. We watched this movie on Friday in the theatres. It's a Malayalam film. Going into this, I had not heard of anything about this film except for the fact that it's a must watch. In the film, we were following Prabha, a woman in her 30s, as she navigates her life in Mumbai. We see her work as a nurse at a hospital. She lives in a small apartment with her roommate Anu, who also works as a nurse in the same hospital. From my interpretation, the film is about Prabha's life. The film grapples with multiple plot lines at once. The first being Prabha and her husband. The stark contrast between Prabha's character and Anu's character needs to be mentioned. Prabha is a quiet and reserved woman in her 30s, while Anu is a free-spirited and outgoing woman in her 20s. They have very different outlooks on life, and their personalities are very different from each other. Prabha is conservative and traditional. She does what she needs to do. She gets married when she is asked to, and comes to Mumbai to make a living. When Dr. Manoj confesses his feelings to her, she states that she is married, even if it's obvious that her husband hasn't even attempted to contact her in 2 years. She feels this innate sense of being a good wife. Anu, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. Anu is modern and has a boyfriend, which she can't tell her parents about. She wants to experience life to the fullest and explore as much as she wants to. It is obvious that her boyfriend Shiaz is a constant positive in her life. The difference between them is evident when Prabha calls Anu a slut just for teasing Dr. Manoj. It is at this moment that I understood Anu's decision to keep her relationship secret from Prabha as well. The name of the film is All We Imagine as Light. My interpretation of this title is that when we imagine certain scenarios, our expectations make us imagine the best case scenario for the outcome. In that sense, we are imagining everything as light, since we cannot see the darkness. But the emphasis is on the word imagine, since we are only imagining it rather than it being a reality. The interesting thing I found about this film is that the first half was so dark, as most of what we saw was at night and it was rainy. In the second half, when we went to Parvati's village, it became brighter all of a sudden. The skies were bright blue, and it reflected on the moods of Prabha and Anu, as they seemed free-spirited here. The scene that stuck out to me was when they shared a drink at Parvati's house and started to dance. The light tones of this section of the movie represent their state of mind and how they are free from their worries. Despite this, the movie ends on a dark scene of the night. The ending shot is a long pan-out of a restaurant on the beach. The restaurant is well lit with colored string lights, and the shot lingers on them as the employee starts dancing in the background. I found this meaningful, as it represents that now they have found their silver lining, or their light in the dark. The film ends on a positive note. The ending evokes a sense of hope and fulfillment. I got the feeling that everything is going to be okay, and I left feeling satisfied. We know that not every conflict in this movie has been resolved, but in this moment, they're all relaxed and have taken a moment for themselves. This reflects real life, as we also won't be able to solve all our problems all the time in life, but we can take small moments like these to appreciate the little things. We can take a breather and relax for a bit, especially living in a big city like Mumbai, where it's so fast-paced. This is a perfect opportunity for them to unwind. Hi, I'm Ananya. I'm a third-year student at Srishti University, and I would just like to say I really enjoyed this film. Overall, this movie just evoked a sense of comfort in me. Towards the end, I could just feel like everything is going to be okay, and I really like the kind of message that was giving out.
All We Imagine as Light is a deeply human and raw exploration of life's quiet struggles. It's not the kind of film that throws answers at you. It just sits with the questions, the uncertainties, and the unspoken moments in the film. Every pause, glance, and silence felt intentional, drawing attention to the spaces where silence speaks louder than words. When she held the rice cooker so close to her heart, it was all that we needed to understand the emotion without words. The film is a reflection of how people carry their burdens, not always visibly but always present, shaping their movements and choices. It doesn't glorify struggle or pretend there's always an easy resolution. Instead, it offers something more truthful, that life is messy and healing is rarely linear. Yet, through all this, there's a spark of hope, a reminder that light has a way of creeping in, even through the smallest cracks or through the glimmer of the eyes. What struck with me the most was how it portrayed resilience. Not as something loud or heroic, but as quiet persistence. It showed how people keep going even when everything feels heavy. and how those small steps forward matter more than we realize. The film doesn't offer closure in a traditional sense, but it doesn't need to. It's enough to sit with its honesty, to see the beauty in persistence, and to feel the power of connection in shared silence. By the end, it's not just a story that sits with you, it's the emotion it stirs. The quiet recognition of something deeply human that we all carry, even if we rarely put it into words. Hi, my name is Srishti and I am a student from Srishti Manipal Institute. I am in my second year and my course is Business Services and Systems Design. Thank you.
All We Imagine as Light is a visually poetic exploration of womanhood, intergenerational divides, and the persistent influence of patriarchy. The film examined themes of freedom, constraint, and the elusive nature of privacy in a way that feels synonymous to a breath. The film felt like an inhale, drawing in the harsh realities of societal expectations and personal struggles, and then an exhale, releasing them into moments of acceptance and shared connection. Sitting in the theatre, I was in complete awe of how it balanced these emotions so effortlessly, leaving me both moved and reflective. It's the kind of film that doesn't just tell a story, it makes you feel it in your bones. Through the experiences of Anu, Prabha, and Parvati, the film explores the generation outlooks of women under the Indian patriarchal system. Between Prabha and Parvati, we see the reality of older women shaped by endurance and sacrifice. Their characters reflecting a life of muted desires and limited choices. Through Prabha's suppressed smiles and overcast lighting, we see her struggle to find hope in her life as she finds herself unable to let go of her identity as a wife. Her light or hope lies with the women in her life. Anu, on the other hand, being the youngest of the three, only pretends to follow the norms and expectations of women in society in the daytime, but bathes herself in the light of Shias during the night. Through visual cues such as a shadow over a conversation or an interrupted moment of solitude, the film underscores how patriarchal control lingers, shaping even private thoughts. This makes privacy a rare luxury, both physical and emotional. Light and nighttime also serve as powerful symbols. Daylight exposes women to scrutiny and societal constraints, while nighttime offers fleeting moments of rebellion and intimacy. It is also in this cover of the night that characters are exposed to what they perceive as their light. In the absence of the overt brightness of the sun, what we seek to keep our spirits alive are all the more apparent. And finally, to return to the analogy of the inhale and the exhale, that rhythm, the push and pull of struggle and resilience, stayed with me long after I left the theatre. It's rare to feel so seen by a film, but All We Imagine as Light managed to do just that with breathtaking beauty. My name is Chavi. I am currently in the third year of my BFA in Digital Media Arts at Srishti, and just wanted to congratulate you on the Golden Globe nominations.
All We Imagine as Light. This movie touched me deeply, exploring the harsh realities of village life colliding with big city dreams. The phrase, "the city of illusions," fell spot on, capturing the deceptive allure of urban life. It tackled serious issues like builders forcibly evicting people without proper paperwork. What struck me most were the layers of love portrayed. Love that's missing, love that's distant, or love that's even lost. It mirrored so many human experiences. The scene that shook me awake was watching an old woman bargain over a fish worth 80 rupees. A meal for a family, while I knew I wouldn't think twice about spending 10 times that on a beer and some snacks. It made me confront my privilege, my financial security, my relationships, my family's unconditional love and support. That realization stayed with me. The title was perfect. It wasn't just about the literal light, although light played a role in so many scenes, but about finding your own inner peace and joy. The colors, the cool blues and the cool greens, set the mood beautifully. I loved the subtle fade in and fade out of the keyboard chimes at the start of a few sensual parts of the movie. This added on to the feeling of mysterious and innocent love. One moment etched in my mind was the light in Prabha's eyes when she lay on her bed, having received a rice cooker gifted by her husband. That light spoke volumes. It was confusion, sense of belonging, hope, and maybe even love. The soundtrack and pacing were gentle, wrapping me in a mood that felt like staying on a rainy day, watching the world from your window as the rainbow forms. The film's portrayal of Bombay was so refreshing. It wasn't the glamorous city we often see, but a sticky, suffocating one. The reality so many live with, but only a few acknowledge. The attention to detail was stunning, making the city itself feel like a character. I came away from the film with a mix of awe and gratitude, grateful for what I have, humbled by the struggles of others, and amazed as to how cinema can shine a light on things we often take for granted. It felt like quite but a powerful wake-up call. Thank you. I'm Ayush Garg, studying Industrial Arts and Design Practices at Srishti Manipal Institute of Design.
The chaos in this movie felt so beautiful. It wasn't the typical Bollywood entry. No grand gestures, but yet bold. It was all laid beautifully. Well, mostly. The attention to detail was remarkable. For instance, the initial stethoscope scene had a soft London Bridge playing in the background. I liked how one instrument in the entire movie elevated all the scenes, regardless of the intensity. Another moment where a man was standing in front of a fan and moving with its movement. An act so simple stayed with me. Then there was Anu spinning in the chair. The film finds beauty in dull rituals, pouring tea, fixing a chair, or lighting a fire. And the blending of cultures was seamless and shot beautifully so many times throughout the movie. Well, I enjoyed Chaya Kadam's performance. It was brilliant. I liked her in Lapata Ladies too. She portrayed class as a privilege reserved only for the privileged exceptionally well and did justice to her role. Some moments like the men checking on the phone where they were stalking the men felt like an experiment with the video editor and didn't quite work with me. Also, like the text pop-ups being in the middle bothered me a little. First, because it wasn't in a language I understood, and second, because anything in the middle is generally written for something important like a title. So that felt a little off. But regardless, now if someone asks me for an example of hustle and bustle, I can name this film. The complicated story and strong politics were shown so tenderly. One journey they undertook morphed into the freedom of desires for 3 women. Soft yet firm and resilient is how I would like to describe this movie. I loved this original canvas. It's a celebration of life I've rarely seen in cinema lately. The fluidity of characters make it more relatable and human. I felt that the film redefined intimacy and connection in a city that often dims the possibility of real bonds. Thinking about the title, I wonder why it was named so. For me, the glimmer in every actor's eyes felt metaphorical. I also feel like the director wants us to pay attention to the lives of those that contemporary India has conveniently forgotten. At a few places, there was a lot left unsaid, which personally sometimes made it hard for me to grasp many twists right away. The narrative felt deliberately opaque at times, and that feeling of not knowing everything is what stuck with me when I left the theatre.
Hi Payal, my name is Kabir, and I wanted to share my thoughts on All We Imagine Is Light. From the opening scenes, I was captivated by how you portrayed Mumbai not just as a physical space, but as a character in its own right. The cold blue tones and the unnerving quietness of the city conveyed a sense of emotional detachment that felt haunting to watch. It was remarkable how you turned such a bustling metropolis into a symbol of loneliness and monotony, while still hinting at an underlying, almost imperceptible humanity. The stories of Prabha, Anu, and Parvati were deeply layered and interwoven with such care. Prabha's quiet struggle with her abandonment, symbolized so poignantly by her embrace of the rice cooker, was heartbreaking. Anu's secret interfaith romance and her fear of societal judgment felt like a microcosm of a larger cultural tensions. Yet her moments of joy, like those stolen minutes in a night market, were profoundly tender. Parvati's story, with her impending eviction and defiance against classist structures, added another dimension, bringing the economic precarity of urban life to the forefront. Your use of visual contrasts was stunning. The shift from Mumbai's alienating blues to the warmer, more inviting tones of the coastal village was not just a change in scenery, but a shift in emotional and narrative texture. It felt like a journey from repression to liberation, both for the characters and for us as viewers. The magical realist sequence where Prabha resuscitates the stranger was a standout moment for me. It felt like a beautiful metaphor for healing and the possibility of closure, not dependent on external validation, but something deeply internal. That scene encapsulated so much of the film's ethos, I think. The balance of realism with an almost dream-like exploration of hope and resilience. Your critique of societal structures was razor-sharp, yet never overtly didactic. Moments like the billboard reading, "Class is a privilege reserved for the privileged," and the clandestine acts of dissent by Prabha and Parvati were quietly powerful, leaving a lasting impact without overwhelming the narrative. This film felt personal and universal all at once. It invited reflection not just on the characters' journeys, but on our own relationships, dreams, and the spaces we inhabit. It's rare for a film, I think, to be so emotionally honest while tackling broader socio-political themes with such nuance. Thank you for creating something so extraordinary. It's a film I will definitely return to again. Thank you.
My immediate reaction to this film was thinking, somewhat trainingly, that I was absolutely right to have been excited for it. My mother showed me the trailer months ago when it was set to be screened at Cannes, and both of us wondered then if we'd ever get to see it in Indian theatres. The first half of the film stole my heart. Enshrouded in the mystery of Mumbai's dark, humid wetness, it paints an immersive portrait of the city. I was brought up in that dreamlike place, so I loved seeing it as it is on the big screen. No baubles and shiny embellishments, just a window into the lives of these three women in their own private spaces. The film left me to sit with my uncertainty in its dimly lit scenes, a treat that I haven't had the pleasure of experiencing from Indian cinema in some time now. I appreciated the subtleties of this movie's politics, while still being unafraid of making its points clearly. An unspoken villain hung in the crevices of every scene. Whether it was Anu and Shiaz, ducking and weaving through Mumbai's crowds under the cover of night, Prabha's stifled loneliness held in a German-made rice cooker, or Parvati, whose rights to her home were only respected so long as her husband was alive. The transition to Parvati's hometown by the sea surprised me, even though I knew it had to be coming. Its golden warmth helped highlight the bonds between our three main characters outside of Mumbai's hustle and bustle. Here, away from the noise and the shadows, Anu and Shiaz's relationship could be expressed in the sunlight. I adored the way their intimacy was filmed. I loved that so much of it felt like it was prioritizing Anu's pleasure, her choice, and her freedoms. I loved watching her wanting because it felt like it reflected my own. The final scene settled in my chest like an anchor in sand, a beacon of light in a sea of dark once again, three women dreaming up hope for the future, and an unnamed young girl basking in the joy of the present. My name is Madhur. I'm a second year studying visual communication at Srishti, and I absolutely love your work.
In
Initially, when the movie begins, the different people talking suck you right into the film. The dialogues of these characters make you want to know more and delve deeper into the story of the film. Sounds that are natural to the city of Bombay, like the rain, the rustling of the leaves, the distant murmurs, the announcements of the local train stations, actually transported me back to the city of Bombay. The sounds used in this movie have been very well combined with the ambient music, which creates an auditory landscape that makes us feel the liveliness of the city of Mumbai. These sounds evoke nostalgia, a sense of impermanence, and hence grounds the narrative and gives it a dreamlike touch. During various shots in the film, the director has integrated the visual and the sounds very harmoniously. A very interesting moment in the film is a nighttime shot where the only illumination comes from a flickering torch which focuses on the rice cooker gifted to Prabha by her husband. During this particular scene, the light is fragmented and this visual is accompanied by soft undulating tones of the rain pouring in the background. The juxtaposition of the sound and the visual evokes vulnerability, solitude, and introspection. The use of handheld shots and long takes immerses the viewers in an intimate yet disorienting journey, mirroring the characters' inner turmoil. I think light in this movie was used very particularly as a metaphor for hope and illusions. The interplay of light and dark evokes the inner struggles of the characters oscillating between the clarity and obscurity. The film also explores Mumbai through two contrasting perspectives. For some, it is a city of illusions, while for others, it is a city of hope. The duality mirrors the film's testament of light, both as a symbol of hope or an illusion. The movie made me realize how often we see people without truly seeing the circumstances they endure. We overlook the realities of their living conditions, focusing only on the surface. Yet, the film reveals a universal truth. Regardless of financial status or where someone lives, everyone is striving for the same fundamental goals: peace of mind, mental stability, and happiness. It's a reflection on the shared human condition, transcending socio-economic barriers. All that we imagine as light is a testament to Payal Kapadia's ability to convey complex emotions through subtle sensory storytelling. The film doesn't offer easy answers or resolutions, but invites viewers to find meaning in its layers. Hi, I'm Madhura. I'm a student from Srishti Manipal Institute of Art, Design and Technology, currently studying in third year. My course is Visual Communication and Strategic Branding. Thank you.
All We Imagine Is Light is a tender, contemplative piece set against the chaotic monotony of Mumbai. It delicately weaves the stories of three women, Prabha, Anu, and Parvati, each navigating the intricacies of their lives under starkly different circumstances. The film captures their inner worlds with an understated brilliance, letting reflective silences and raw expressions do the storytelling. Prabha, hesitant and quietly grieving, lives a life shaped by doubt and routine. Her transformation, sparked by something as simple as an electric cooker, feels deeply symbolic, showing how even small changes can lead to self-acceptance and doubts and evoke thoughts. Her silent, moving response to the doctor's love confession is unforgettable. Her expressions say more than words ever could. Anu, on the other hand, is daring and passionate. Falling in love with Shiaz, a man from a different religion, their love story, filled with stolen moments and quiet rebellions, reflects the challenges of intimacy in a city that leaves little room for privacy. Parvati, the strongest of the three, fights to protect her lifelong home from builders trying to displace her, symbolizing the power dynamics and struggles faced by many in urban India. The ambient sounds of the city, waves, murmurs, and distant hums, meld seamlessly with the score, grounding the film in its naturalistic tones. The cinematography, rich in dark, muted hues, compels us to ask, where is the light? But light isn't absent. It is reimagined in each woman's resilience, their small victories, and the moments of connection they find. The film culminates into an unforgettable image. The woman standing by the shore, gazing at the sea with glimmering eyes. Here, the film offers life in all its complexity, bound by societal expectations yet striving for liberation. Moments like Prabha's hesitating over a drink and sharing laughter with Anu and Parvati symbolize the joy of letting go, however fleeting it may be. In an era of loud maximalist Indian cinema, this subtle storytelling is a breath of fresh air. It reminds us that life's greatest truths often lie in its silences. All We Imagine Is Light is a deeply reflective and unforgettable cinematic experience. Hi, I'm Aman Prasad, I'm a second year visual communication and strategic branding student from Srishti Manipal Institute of Art, Design and Technology.
Good evening. My name is Taruni and I am a third year HCD student, and in my personal opinion it was a singular event that made a huge imprint in the way how I perceive things. While there was no relation between the plot and the title, I felt that it made sense. The whole narrative of how even with minimal lighting one can figure out the actions or the expressions of the actors, and it sort of crafts a story that emotionally stays long after the credits have rolled, both literally and figuratively. This movie explores themes of intimacy, urban isolation, and the quest for freedom against the stark contrast of a calm beach setting and Mumbai's busy, fast-paced cityscape. It provides a moving look at life from the viewpoint of someone with low income and contrasting their hardships with the luxury of a more affluent way we live, but in the end, they find their own luxury in life. The first half, the narrative emphasizes how fast Mumbai life moves. The main characters Prabha and Anu navigate through their life like any other citizen trying to keep up with the city's speed. This for me was like laying the foundation for building a relationship with the film. It kind of developed a sense of being relatable, that this is something that we are used to. And the audience also in a way is gradually prompted by this framing to consider their privileges and acknowledge that not everyone lives the same life as they do. Gradually leading this narrative to the second half, which takes them to the seaside. Prabha and Anu, I felt, were more at ease. They developed the sense of not wearing a mask to fit in, but rather see themselves as raw as they are and learn to find their place in this world of who they are as a unique person in this world. Another interesting thing that I found in this film is how the intimate scenes are done without the fear that they're going to face judgments, whether it being having intercourse or taking a dump out in the open. The other way how I perceive this film is how the city itself is perceived as a light, as a source of potential and energy. And as this narrative moves to the seaside, the characters try to spot the same light and the overwhelming intensity of the city. But as they gave themselves time to let loose, they learn to appreciate the distinct beauty of the slower paced way of life and realize that just because you are used to a particular place, it's not necessary that you find the same in every single place. Each place that they go to has its own distinct beauty, and just learn to embrace it. Thank you so much.
This city is not a city of dreams, but a city of illusions. Mumbai, often romanticized as a land of opportunity, revealed itself as a labyrinth where hopes flicker like distant lights. The comforting rhythm of waves hitting the shoreline is soon replaced by the cacophony of traffic, deadlines, and crowded streets. Silence and stillness become distant memories drowned out by the constant hustle. How long can one run without losing touch with the quieter, more genuine parts of life?